I don't want to belabor the, yes, I do want to belabor the attack on independent journalist Cam Higgby because there's been no justice for it yet. Antifa clearly attempted to severely physically harm and or kill him. And the response we have seen so far is not sufficient. It's not sufficient. Absolutely not sufficient to have a journalist beaten so hard that a dent was left in his helmet outside a federal building in Seattle by violent left-wing extremists who've been doing this for years and years and years. We've played the video before, but we will revisit it now.
Let him go. Let him go. No! Let him go. Let him go.
Yeah. So the thing about this, I think that's so infuriating to me, and I'm going to give an example of how different the responses are toward that attack and another attack that happened recently. One of the most infuriating parts, and I think what sets it apart from what happened to me outside a DHS facility in Tukwila, is we know exactly who beat up Cam. You know, with me, they covered their faces. We haven't been able to identify them yet. So that's a much more difficult task. And I wasn't hurt as severely as Cam was. That was a felony assault, right? And the day after it happened, the guy was ID'd. So it's been 9 days now where we know exactly who the attacker is. It's a frequent flyer named Jeremy Calvin Lawson. He's 33 years old. He lives in Monroe, Washington. He's been going all around Monroe. We've been getting emails from folks saying he's pleading his innocence. He even knows he's the guy on the video. So there's no excuse for it. But I want to, again, I don't want you to think that this is some hypothetical where if I said, oh, if it was, a different type of attack or a different kind of attack, or it'd be treated differently, because I can bring receipts on it. So I want to give you a very recent example and let you be the judge of whether politics and partisanship is coming into play when it comes to who gets justice and how quickly. So you might recall back on March 27th, there was a very real, this wasn't a Jussie Smollett moment. This actually happened. We talked about it on the show. March 27th, there was a ton of coverage around an attack on a transgender individual in the University District in Seattle. And of course, the media covered it quite a bit, and as they should. I think it was a story worth covering, just like I think Cam's attack is a story worth covering, but the mainstream media completely ignores that. But just if you're not familiar with that attack, so basically, the victim, who identifies as a transgender woman, so I think that's a man who identifies as a woman, right, told police they were heading to meet their partner at the light rail station. Small group of men comes up, calls them a drag queen, says, "Take your effing makeup off." The victim takes out their cell phone to record the men, and then court documents say the group of suspects began assaulting her by punching her in the face. And it was like there was injuries. This is a real attack that happened. There was evidence and video in the surrounding area. So I'm not saying the attack was made up, and I'm not saying the attack wasn't serious. When you have a group of people who in broad daylight is willing to attack and beat someone up because of their perceived gender or gender identity or sexual orientation, that's a problem, and it deserves treatment from the police that takes it seriously. And police did take it seriously. So the media was on it just like that. Again, I don't think that's a problem. I think they should be, because the suspects were at large. We had elected leaders putting out statements of condemnation, which again, I don't think is a problem if they want to condemn crime. I think that's a very good thing. I would like to see them condemn more crimes than just, transgender hate crimes or whatever it might be. But this got a lot of attention. Less than 24 hours later, the key suspect was in custody. This from the Seattle Police blotter, March 28th. They put it out at 12:45 p.m. So not even 24 hours later, the guy is in custody. And he had a long rap sheet. He had bail set pretty high. I think his bail was set at $200,000. But again, less than 24 hours later, to get the key suspect in the attack on a transgender individual, which is a hate crime under law, into custody. Now, that's not an accident, okay? That doesn't just happen because, it was that easy of a case to solve. The Seattle Police Department, according to an internal email that we've obtained, threw everything it had at this case in the minutes and the hours after it transpired. I'll let you be the judge of why. Of course, I have my opinions. Here's an email we've obtained from a Seattle Police Department source that was sent out 2:30 p.m. on March 28th. So again, less than 24 hours after that attack on a transgender individual. I'm going to read the whole thing to you so you can understand the true weight of resources that were dedicated to this single assault in the University District. Good afternoon, colleagues. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each of you for your dedication and teamwork in response to the violent hate crime attack against a transgender victim in the University District on Thursday evening. The coordinated efforts of North Precinct Patrol, Relational Policing, SWAT, and the hostage negotiation team were instrumental in ensuring a swift and professional response, demonstrating the very best of what we stand for as a department. For those who may not be aware, officers were dispatched to University Way around 6 p.m. on March 27th after a 911 call from the victim, who reported being attacked by a group of men shouting anti-transgender slurs. The victim was able to escape and seek refuge in a nearby business, where officers quickly arrived to provide aid. Though the suspects had fled, Seattle Fire responded to evaluate the victim, and with the help of witness statements, officers were able to develop probable cause for a hate crime. SPD's LGBTQ+ liaison also contacted the victim to offer support. Patrol officers worked diligently to identify a suspect vehicle, linking it to a recent incident and a suspect matching the attacker's descriptions. When officers located the vehicle and observed the suspect entering a residence, they established containment, leading to a department-wide activation. The coordinated efforts of North Precinct Patrol, SWAT, and HNT ensured a safe and successful arrest. The case is now under investigation by our biased crimes detectives. This response is a powerful example of how we, as a department, are greater than the sum of our parts. When we work together with skill, compassion, and professionalism, we achieve meaningful results. In too many places across this country, crimes like this are ignored, minimized, or handled without the necessary care and strategic approach. Here in Seattle, we stand firm in our commitment to justice, ensuring that every victim is heard and every crime is taken seriously. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to selfless public service, to protecting our communities with integrity, and to upholding the values that define us as a department. Your words make a difference, and I am deeply grateful for each of you. With sincere appreciation, Sean F. Barnes, Chief of Police, he, him, his pronouns. Now, look, I don't have a problem with that amount of effort going into a random violent assault. I don't. I wish we had enough Seattle police officers where that could be the response to every assault in the city, where every victim of a violent crime got what I would characterize as a concierge police response. A department-wide activation for an assault. A department-wide activation. SWAT, the LGBTQ+ liaison, a fire response, the North Precinct Patrol team, the hostage negotiation team brought in to help effect the arrest. The full weight of the Seattle Police Department for an assault investigation that I would argue is because the victim checked the right boxes. And again, I think that's fine, as long as you are also dedicating that same amount of resources and care and concern and personal investment as the chief of police into other violent assaults in the city. And unquestionably, you're not.